Romans 11 verse 12 tells us, if their trespass is riches for the world, if already their failure is riches for the Gentile nations, how much more their fullness. I'd like you to concentrate with me today on this simple word, fullness. In Greek, it's pleroma. And it is translated very differently in the New Testament. Sometimes so different that we don't make a connection. We just start to speculate. And what I did is I just looked it up. Where does it appear? Now, you have to think visually. Actually, that's very often a help if we try to visualize something in our head about what the Bible says. It's not philosophical, theoretical, something sterile, but it is very often down to earth, something we can grasp. Now, what the pleroma, the fullness, tells us is when a certain vessel is full. Think of this glass. What is lacking here is what makes it full. And when it's full, then it has reached the pleroma, the fullness. You have this in very different contexts. I have here Jesus' comparison where he says, no one mends an old garment with a rag of new clothes, for the rag tears off the garment again, and the tear becomes worse. Now, what is the pleroma here? The rag is the pleroma. The rag is the one thing that makes the garment complete if there's a hole in it. Or the word fullness appears in this story about Jesus feeding 5,000 hungry listeners. It says there, they took up 12 baskets full of broken pieces. Now, these broken pieces are the pleroma, are the fullness. They make the basket full. And the same word is used when he talks about, or he reminds his disciples, I broke the 7 bread for the 4,000 people. How many baskets full of broken pieces, full of fragments, did you pick up? This again is the pleroma. And this is the same word Paul uses here when he refers to the fullness of Israel. He does not tell us here in the immediate context what the fullness of Israel is. There are hints in the wider context that, for example, when Paul talks in Romans 11:16 about the Tao, we get there, and he says, then the whole lump will be holy. Or when later he talks about the whole of Israel being saved. So we might infer from there that the fullness of Israel is the whole of Israel, but he doesn't say it here explicitly. We will keep this word fullness in the back of our head or on the shelf for later, because it will accompany us through this text. Later on in verse 25, he talks about the fullness of the Gentile nations, which doesn't mean all the Gentiles. It means again a certain vessel that is full. We have to be very careful to mix our speculations and our imaginations with the text. And I want to keep you there just to imagine this vessel and to see that Israel will reach a certain fullness, and this fullness will have an effect on the Gentile nations. That is what Paul is going to say here. So let's continue here next time.